welcome to the last session of this symposium. I'm very happy to see that not everybody followed Peter Goodfellow's example and left to watch Bayern Munich win against Borussia Dortmund, which I'm informed is just happening right now. This last session will be on biological weapons. My name is Frischknecht. I'm working as a postdoctoral fellow at the Pasteur Institute on the cell biology of malaria infection. And I've become interested in this issue while I was actually working here at the EMBL on my PhD on vaccinia virus. And during that time, I accidentally injected myself with roughly 1.75 billion viruses into my left index finger. And when I went downtown to see a clinician, I wasn't really sure where I was more shocked by the fact that the clinician thought that I've injected myself with smallpox, or by his non-existent shock of this fact, or actually by the fact that he tested my blood for antibodies against chickenpox, which is a herpes virus. But anyhow, we have clearly this session is motivated by the recent happenings in the United States, namely the 5 deaths resulting from anthrax letters that have been sent around. But this is not a unique event during the history of mankind. Obviously, poisons have been around since ever humans invented civilizations, and people have always thought to poison their political rivals using them, and they've also employed them during war. There have been numerous cases where armies have poisoned the enemy's water supplies, either by putting in human or animal cadavers. I think it was mentioned yesterday by Robin Weiss that the case of the catapulting of corpses of pest victims of the Black Death that might or might not have caused an epidemic in the medievals. Robin Weiss also mentioned the unintentional use of viruses, namely smallpox, measles and influenza, that basically allowed the Spanish to conquer Latin America, and in the course killing off about 90% of the Native American population. But clearly that was all before we actually started to understand what infectious diseases were about. Now, after Robert Koch and Louis Pasteur defined the field of microbiology, obviously people very fast realized that these disease agents might be abused in war, and there were a number of international treaties signed, including one after the First World War, the 1925 Geneva Convention. That was probably motivated by the disaster with the chemical weapons that killed over 1 million people during the First World War. No. Now, that Geneva Convention was not always adhered to, and a lot of European countries had biological warfare programs running, and the only country which really used them during the Second World War was Japan, which tested over 25 different disease agents on Chinese prisoners of war, and actually released a number of them on Chinese villages, killing several 10,000s of people. They've also used it in battle, and they found out that they killed probably just as many of their own soldiers than they did kill the Soviet soldiers they were battling against. Now, sadly enough, the Americans, when they finally defeated Japan, let all these people get away with it. They basically did not treat them as war criminals, as they probably should have. But they let them free in exchange for information, which they thought was important for their own program. And that own program then ran for about 25, 26 years before it was stopped in 1972 by the signing of the Biological Toxin and Weapon Convention, which we will hear about later from the speakers. This convention again has not been proved very watertight, and the biggest breach of it was probably by the Soviet Union, who employed up to 60,000 people, and it was mentioned yesterday by Larry Garrett, that what they've actually been done, that they've produced tons of smallpox to be used on intercontinental ballistic missiles and things. But it was not only countries who produced these agents for the use of weapons. There was also individual groups. Obviously, the individual or the group that distributed these anthrax letters have not been identified yet, and there has been precedents, a number of precedents before. I just want to mention two. One, both were committed by religious cults. One in the United States, that they poisoned about 750 people by salmonella poisoning of salad bars, and the other one, the Japanese cult that killed 12 people with a nerve gas in the Tokyo subway, but before that attack actually tried to release anthrax, but failed to do so. Now I guess that several points will be taken up by the speakers, what we want to do, because the talks are very intertwined, that we would like to have the speakers talking all in a row. So first we will have Volker Beck, then Jan van Aken, and finally John Walker, and we will then have all the questions at the end. This will also sort of avoid a situation where the questions will get to a delay of the symposium, obviously. Now Volker Beck, who gives the first talk, will talk about the risks, perspectives and responsibilities in science and technologies. He is a pharmacist and a food chemist from training, and basically at the moment is an advisor in the German Foreign Office on biological warfare.